All right, welcome everybody. I've got top of the hour here. Looks like we got a couple folks still logging into the call, but we're going to go ahead and get started here. First off, I want to say thanks for showing up today. I know these conference calls that we have, kind of during the middle of the day, if you're out on the West Coast, are challenging for those of you that have day jobs outside of the tax preparation activities. So thank you for being on here. Any of you that have additional staff or business partners that you also want to get involved in these calls or maybe get exposed to this information, we will have this call recorded and available in the partner portal under the conference call section here in about 24 hours following this live feed. But let's dive right in. This is our second new partner all office conference call that we're having here leading into the tax year 2019 filing season that starts here January 2020. And got a lot of information to cover. We'll be kind of running through here fairly quickly. I'd like to try to keep this to 20 or 30 minutes. But for those of you that have been on the call before, there will be some repetition here. When we talk about some of the most important things leading into your first tax season with Federal Direct, several of those are very consistent as far as what those are. But I do want to make sure that we convey the importance and the timeliness of those items. So first off, I want to definitely say as a new partner of Federal Direct, it's very important that you familiarize yourself with our partner portal. That's at www.federaldirecttax.com. If you don't like typing out that entire handle there, you can go to fd.tax. That's an abbreviated domain that'll take you to the same place. Again, it is F as in federal, D as in direct, .tax. Nice shortened website that we also own the domain for. So that will get you there a little quicker if you don't want to type all that out. The partner portal, though, that's where you're going to find your practice returns. We have software trainings and video walkthroughs on there. That's where we have your IRS tax training and continuing education. The annual filing season program for those of you that want to participate in that. That is all encompassed there in the partner portal. That's really where we try to warehouse and organize and present a lot of the tools that are in the Federal Direct toolbox that you get as a partner with us. We go through that in detail in your partner training. So as a new partner, if you haven't gone through this yet, I am sure that you most likely have you most likely are going to be going through that very, very soon. So some of this might sound a little foreign to you if you haven't been through that one-on-one training session. So if you haven't been through that, first off, by all means, give us a call. We'd like to get that on the schedule and get that happening here sooner rather than later. There are a lot of tax office best practices, some security protocols. Your office setup checklist is on there as far as where are you at in this process. So it really, that is your portal. Those are your tools. There are a lot of forms, documents, and training sessions in there that are pre-recorded that are there really to help you operate your business, run your business effectively, train employees, and deal with a lot of the common stuff that comes up during a tax season. So let's dive right into three things that you should be aware of and be doing now if you haven't already. First and foremost is going to be registration with the IRS. That is encompassing two different areas. The number one most important area here is your EFIN application process. So an EFIN is different than an employer identification number. An EFIN is an electronic filer identification number. This is basically your identifying number that allows you to participate and use the IRS's electronic filing system. You have to have one of these numbers for any type of electronic returns to go out of your system. You have to have this number for us to be able to register and enroll you for offering bank products. Those are the advance money available to your clients. Those are the prepaid debit cards and checks that are printed on site there at your location. Those are the tools that allow you to have your preparation fees withheld from your clients' refunds. That EFIN registration process is done through the IRS e-services portal. That is separate from what I have as number 2 on your list here, which is your P10 or preparer's tax identification registration or renewal. But back to the EFIN, number 1 item there. We got to get that through your e-services. They do a identity verification that sometimes folks have challenges meeting that identity verification. You have to have a credit card or a auto loan or a home loan or several other different public accounts that would be available on a credit report so that they can actually verify that you are who you say you are. If you cannot get that verification done online, they will set up an appointment for you to physically walk in to a taxpayer assistance center that is closest to you, where you need to bring in a picture ID, go in there, smile, let them know that you are who you say you are. That is about a 45-day process to get that EFIN number issued. There is a fingerprint card that we will send you out as part of kind of the enrollment process with us. That fingerprint card is tied to your EFIN application through a tracking number. That tracking number should be written on the back of your fingerprint card. You go to the local police or sheriff's office, get fingerprinted, and you send that in to the address that we can provide you. That background check is what takes 45 days. That's kind of where the time hurdle is in that process. So you want to make sure that your application is completed online and is submitted. And you also want to make sure that that fingerprint card is completed and has been sent in for processing as well. If you have any questions in that area, Leah here at the corporate office is the one who spearheads that process and those applications. She'd be more than happy to help you out walking through those applications, answering any questions that you have. So if you haven't started that yet, I would expect to hear Leah's phone ringing off the hook here once this call is over. So number 1 priority is the EFIN application. Number 2, like I mentioned before, is the P10 or preparer's tax identification number. This is a individual number for you and any other tax preparers that are operating in your business. So anybody that is doing any preparation activities should have a PTIN or preparer's tax identification number. That's the number that goes on the bottom of the 1040 as the preparer of that tax return. Like I said, it's not just the business owner that needs a P10. It is anybody and everybody that is doing any tax preparation activities. It is considerably easier to get a P10 number than it is to get an EFIN. To get a P10 number, there is no fee. There is no fingerprint background check required. You simply have to set up an online account with the IRS. It is currently a free application. You do need to have a little bit of information there as far as you have to have filed a tax return in the prior couple of years for them to be able to identify you. If you have not done that, there are some additional paper filing options that take a little bit longer, but are available for those of you that might not be able to meet those requirements. The P10 number is typically issued instantly once you apply for it online. So I have it as the number 2 most important thing that you should be doing right now, but honestly, this is something that you could go do in the next 10 minutes and be done, and you've already got one of these items taken care of. But be aware, if you bring in new preparers or additional staff that are going to be doing tax preparation, you as the tax business owner, it's your responsibility to make sure that they have an active or an updated P10 number for the coming tax season. Number 3 on the list that I've got on here is I want to make sure that you guys have had your software installed and you have gone through your training session. So when I was initially starting off talking here, I was talking about the importance of using your federal direct partner portal and knowing where resources are when you have the need for them. And The training session will walk you through where everything is located on the portal. It'll help you get used to navigating that partner portal, what to look for, what's important. There's a lot of resources on there. That's honestly kind of one of our action points is figuring out a better delivery method for organizing and providing these resources to you guys in a little better format so that they're not quite as difficult to sort through everything that's on the portal. But the training session will definitely help you out in that regard. The installation process, I know a lot of you are using the cloud-based or online software. So the installation process is actually a very light touch when it comes to what's happening in that appointment. But one of the most important things that's happening is they are doing a virus scan and checkup on your PC and your network. They are installing a enterprise grade antivirus software for your computer. They are updating the shortcuts or installing shortcuts or favorites for your online applications. And really, the biggest, most important thing in there is that's setting the stage for you to be able to go through your training session where you can do some practice returns. You can play around with the software. Your trainer can go through the navigational processes of starting a return, finishing a return, submitting that return to the IRS, maybe making corrections on that return. Really, it's the stepping stone to the training being completed. So get that install on the books if you have not already. We are currently training on 2018 or tax year 2018. Filing year would be calendar year 2019 tax software. The new software rolls out here usually the first week of December. So we're still a few weeks out from that coming out and being available to start playing with. But do not hesitate to schedule your installs or trainings for that new program to become available. The training and the software, the user interface, everything is pretty much the same year after year. It is the underlying tax law and the code and the calculations and the various kind of esoteric type of forms that get changed year to year. So do not feel like that is something that you need to delay or postpone until 2019 program comes out. Definitely, I would say that navigating that program as well as navigating the federal direct partner portal is what our goal is to instill upon you in that training session. So don't hesitate. Again, feel free to give us a call if you have not gotten those put onto your schedule yet. One item I want to bring up is I know we've had a few new partners this year that have been Mac or Apple users. The tax software itself, the cloud-based software, will function in the Google Chrome browser just fine. However, our technical support and our tax support software is a Windows-based product. So we have a requirement here that if you want to use our support, you've got to be operating in a Windows-based environment. So I want to get that out there early. We have had, I think, one or two folks that have had everything scheduled and come to find out that we're dealing with a Apple work environment, and we got to make a few changes there for it. So bear that in mind as we're going forward. We've got some very affordable Windows solutions for workstations if you guys need any. Don't hesitate, give us a call, talk to an account rep here, and they can give you the details on that info if you need any. All right, let's dive into some important dates that are coming up now. Currently, we have eclipsed the November 15th date, and that date is the last day that the IRS accepts electronic returns. They turn off their system for approximately 2 months. So you're able to e-file tax returns pretty much year-round, with the exception of from November 15th till roughly about January 15th. That 2-month window, which we are just now on the front end of, That is the window when the IRS is updating their systems, all of the software vendors and stuff we are submitting in, all of our products, all of our new forms to make sure that they meet the new requirements for the coming tax season. So e-file is currently turned off. If you're trying to submit tax returns in between November 15th and January 15th, you will have to do that via paper file. And honestly, the paper file processing also pauses during this window for rolling over to the next coming tax season. So you're not doing your client any favors by sending in a paper file return during that period. It's going to be sitting on a processor's desk and not getting attention. So my suggestion would be holding that return and then e-filing it once the e-file system comes back on here in mid-January. Kind of the process for that turn on or that reactivation of the IRS e-file system is that they're going to turn on for the coming year. So they're going to turn on to start accepting 2019 taxes roughly the middle of January. They have not published when that start date is yet, but when that turns back on, it will be the current tax season. So it'll be 2019 tax returns that can be e-filed. Once they have ascertained that the current year's systems are processing and flowing the way that they intended, they will then turn on the additional 2 years for electronic filing. So once the system comes back on, you're going to be able to electronically file the current year's 2019 tax returns. And then as well, you'll be able to file 2018 and 2017 tax returns electronically. Any other returns outside of those 3 years would have to be submitted by paper. It is the IRS's intent that they will always accept 3 years of returns electronically on that same rolling schedule that I just went through. The 2019 software rollout that I touched on earlier is scheduled for the first week of December. Those of you that are on the online programs, so there's a majority of you out there, will see that rollover happen a little bit earlier, typically the last week of November. However, with the Thanksgiving holiday and stuff in there, there's usually not a lot of action in the tax software. But if you have been doing practice returns up to this point, and you log in and you notice, hey, those practice returns aren't there. Well, don't panic. That basically means that you're logging into the current year instead of the back year that is now 2018 software. If you take a look at your internet favorites, if you've gone through the installation process, you will have shortcuts to the prior year's software as well as the live software in there. So don't hesitate, give us a call if you have any questions or any concerns on that. We'd be happy to make sure that your favorites are set up, your direct links are set up, and that you're accessing the right software or the right years for what you're looking for. Once that new software rolls out, it's kind of a base package or a empty shell, kind of so to speak, for the tax forms and modules to be dropped into. Those will be continued to be dropped in throughout the month of December. And right around the end of December is when the bank product modules start becoming available from the banks as well. All of these will auto update into your system unless you perhaps happen to be on the desktop platform. And if that's the case, our IT staff will be contacting you directly to help with that final update for everything to start flowing in automatically around that time as well. The other date that I've got listed out on here is the 12/31 New Year's Eve deadline, and that is the deadline for the IRS's annual filing season program. For those of you that don't know what that is an annual program. AFSP stands for the Annual Federal Filing Program. That is something that you can take as a tax preparer. It is a seasonal program that ensures that you are up to speed on the current tax law updates. That annual filing season program consists of a continuing education requirement as well as an open book exam. The exam counts for about 6 credits. The other continuing education you can choose from our library of federal continuing education modules to make up the other 12 credit hours in there. But feel free, take a look in there. Most of you guys have signed up for that or enrolled into that when you sign up for your partnership with Federal Direct. But being an AFSP preparer allows you to have some credibility in the industry. It allows you to be listed on the IRS's website as a credentialed tax preparer. It allows you to call the IRS on your client's behalf for any returns that you prepared while you were an AFSP preparer. So it does afford you substantial benefits. And for a lot of you guys, if you're getting into the industry as a new preparer or a new tax office owner, one of the big questions out there in the world that we are in today is, how do I know you're not a scammer trying to get my information and, do something nefarious with it? Well, it's, hey, I'm an IRS registered AFSP preparer. You can go to their website. You can see me right there. There's a way to file a complaint if they feel like you're, stealing their information or doing something unscrupulous. And it really gives you a leg up on your competition for the folks who might not have that designation. So we certainly encourage that, and that additional training and continuing education will only help you in your preparation activities. I want to talk a little bit about the bank products and advances that are available this year. The advances that are available are going to be starting as early as the first week of January this year. And what it is you can apply for an advance for your client up to $6,000. Those are approved in tiers of 25, 50, and 75% of your client's refund. So obviously your client has to be getting a refund to qualify for an advance, and those figures would be determined based upon those percentage points. The 25% of the refund, the 50% of the refund, or the 75% as well. One of the limitations for this application is that the tax return has to be completed and submitted at the time of applying for the advance. So it's not like your client can bring you in a pay stub and say, hey, I'll come back with the rest of my information and you can finish this up later, but can you apply to get me some money now? The answer is unfortunately no. You have to have the tax return completed to the point of where you can have them sign the signature pages with a refund amount indicated and submitting that tax return at that point. So that is a challenge when it comes to the early part of January, because most W-2s, 1099s, and other type of tax statements are not available until later in the month of January. Legally, employers are supposed to have those out by the end of the month, and it is a rarity that you find that those come out early in January. Larger employers out there, Walmart, Tyson Chicken, any of these big guys, Amazon, a lot of times they will have digital W-2s that become available, around that first week of January. But your smaller employers are typically off until the later part of January for when they will actually issue those out. Now, there are 2 different start dates to be aware of for these advance applications. Most of you are probably in the second pool here. If you have operated in the tax industry previously and you have done bank products before that we can get some type of verification for, you will be able to offer the preseason advances. Those are looking to start roughly around January the 4th. That will give you an additional or an early 10 days worth of applications for advances. That's called a pre-ac or a preseason advance. To qualify for that, you have to have prior industry experience that the bank can verify. So they want to make sure if they're putting money out on the street that you know what you're doing. You have some real clients that have been through the system before. it's a good way for them to cover their butt to make sure that they are looking to avoid some of the bigger fraud scams that are out there with fake offices sending fake returns through trying to get these advances. So the second start date in there is going to be when the IRS hub testing program starts that we participate in and that you would participate in as well. That is roughly 10 days prior to the start of tax season. So they haven't announced when the start of tax season is yet. Last year it was January 29th. The rumor is this year it's around January 21st. So that would basically put that start date for you guys for these advances being available somewhere around January 11th. So if you don't have that prior industry experience, last year was the first year they ever had these preseason advances over the past decade. And, there were some offices that were concerned that, oh man, I'm missing out. My competition's got this available, but I don't. And, unfortunately, it's a banking requirement. There's really no ways around that. But what I will say is that the utilization of that early season or preseason advance was extremely low. So you're really looking at missing out on roughly about 7 days or so worth of that preseason window. And you will still be able to offer those once the hub testing period starts, and we participate in that. That's about 10 days prior to the start of the official start of the season. So if you have questions on that, we will be hosting a bank product specific webinar. We'll host that at least once or twice here throughout the month of December to get you guys up to speed on the different product offerings. But the advance element there is really the big ticket item that usually most of the questions hinge upon that. So that's kind of the tip of the iceberg there on details of it. But those start dates are important for you. And like I said, most of you guys will be in that start date somewhere around roughly January the 11th or so is when we estimate that happening for this year. The advances are going to cost your client 36% APR. They will cost you $25. So there is a marketing fee for these that the bank charges. That's the way they are able to offer these in all the states around the country with the different small loan lending laws and such. So there's a marketing cost that goes to you of $25. We split that $25 with you. So really you're looking at about $12.50 as far as what the cost is there. It is a non-recourse loan, so the bank is not going to come chasing you down if your client's refund gets seized by the IRS and they don't get paid back. That is a non-recourse to you and as well non-recourse to the taxpayer. So there really is a very low risk on there, very good marketing tool, especially if you're operating in a market where your clients need money that early January period. And if they are having the earned income credit or the refundable child tax credit on their returns, this is our third year now where we are under the delay laws out there for the PATH Act that passed. That was 2016, I believe, when that went into effect. And what that is if you have any portion of earned income credit or refundable child tax credit on a return, the IRS cannot legally release the return until at least February 15th. We see those typically getting released basically the last week of February. So this is a great way to get money in your client's hands that typically they're the guys that need it the most. Marketing programs. I know many of you guys were on my first conference call that we had for new partners. We hosted the marketing webinar back on Halloween. That is recorded and an archive version is available on the partner portal for you now. I urge you to take a look at that if you have not seen that yet. It really goes through some of our higher level marketing campaigns and programs that are available for you, some of the tools that are there in the portal, and some of the different ideas that are out there that our other partners are using and that we have tested in prior years as well. Tina here at the corporate office is your contact for going through those marketing campaigns or perhaps enrolling in those marketing campaigns. Several of these are direct mail campaigns where we actually participate in the cost of these campaigns with you. So if you have a marketing budget, typically if that budget is at least $500 to $1,000, don't hesitate. Give us a call, talk to Tina. She'd be happy to walk you through a couple of those different programs, help you identify maybe your target market and which one would fit best for your business model. So don't hesitate giving Tina a call here at the corporate office. That number is 866-357-2052. A couple of the programs that we are promoting in there fairly heavily is the USPS's EDDM direct mail program. That is the Every Door Direct Mail program through the U.S. Postal Service. They also have a recent mover campaign. The recent mover campaign has about a 1 month lead time to getting that implemented. So if you're wanting to be ready to go for the early part of the tax season, it is important that you make those decisions now and kind of identify which campaigns you want to utilize this year to reach your market. So don't delay on marketing. A lot of these different programs out here have a significant lead time to getting them implemented. We also have the ability for those of you that have a larger marketing budget to do some advertising at local Family Dollar or Dollar General stores. That's a nice campaign, but it is a 6-month window for the campaign. So tax season is obviously a 4-month busy season. So the earlier you identify if that's the campaign you want, we can get that in so that it hits early and is your 6 months would cover the lion's share of the 4-month tax season as well. A few takeaways before I wrap it up here. Like I said, EFIN registration is priority 1. Leah is your contact here at the corporate office. Give us a call if you have not started that process yet. Number 2, make sure to use your Federal Direct portal. There are some excellent tools and resources on there that are really going to help you make sure that you're moving in the right direction. We have a couple of upcoming trainings here. On this Thursday, we have finalizing the 1040. Derek and Josiah will be delivering that one. You can sign up for these in your portal. We have tax office data security. That was just hosted last week, but it is in the portal and available for archive viewing. I always want to touch on these calls that the importance of data security and network security now that you're in the tax industry. You are a very ripe target when it comes to hackers, when it comes to those with some malicious intent, when it comes to identity theft, and those type of bad actors out there. So bear in mind, we're not out selling candy or anything. We are housing very sensitive personal information for our clients. And as you enter this industry and continue in it and grow, your repository of that sensitive information grows as well. So it's a good idea. If you aren't familiar with data security, I would certainly suggest that you take a look at that webinar that was just delivered last week. Next week, we're hosting best practices when it comes for practicing before the IRS. That's going to be on Tuesday. Typically, our webinars are on Thursdays, but due to the Thanksgiving holiday, we've bumped that one up to Tuesday. And what that really does is it goes in, it describes what that AFSP credential will get you. It talks about the other credentials that are out there, being an enrolled agent, being a CPA, being an attorney. what can you do with the IRS with these different credentials? That's what practice before the IRS is really talking about. We will start scheduling these conference calls for all of our offices and not just you guys that are new to Federal Direct here in starting in December. You will see that we have bi-weekly conference calls that will be going. And again, they're usually hosted around this time, midday. If you can make it live, great. If not, we record them, we post them in the portal. You can jump in there, take a listen whenever you're available. So don't feel like you got to take off work or take a break or something to attend these live. You can certainly listen to the recordings and give us a call to follow up on anything that maybe strikes a chord with you. Thanksgiving holiday hours. We are going to be in the office from 9 until 1 on Wednesday. And then Thanksgiving Thursday, we will be closed, and Friday, the office will be closed as well. That's really what I've got for today, guys. Again, thank you very much for showing up. Give me a little bit of your time here in the middle of the day. 866-357-2052. If any of those kind of action items that I was addressing there have rang true with you, and it's like, oh man, I need to get on those, give us a call. Typically, Leah is the one that does a lot of the intake and the enrollment and registration. If she can't help you out, she will certainly get you to the person who can. But otherwise, again, thank you very much, guys. Keep your eyes out for the next invitations coming out for both our continuing education trainings as well as our December all office conference calls, where we will dive into a lot more of these topics in more depth and more detail as we inch our way closer and closer to the tax season. If I don't talk to you guys before, have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday and look forward to chatting soon. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.